Coming up on Unpacked.
I actually had the most perfect pregnancy. Your child will not be like other kids.
When was the first time that something didn't feel right to you?
That day, he had like a seizure. Actually, it diagnosis like he has cerebral palsy, he's epileptic, he's autistic.
Raising a child with cerebral palsy has its various challenges, and today's guest is here to share her story. Let's unpack. After a smooth pregnancy, Ayanda Masina from Mpumalanga gave birth to her son in January 2009. It was after she had delivered that she was notified that her child would not develop like other children due to some brain damage. Soon after, more diagnoses would follow. This is her story. Let's unpack. Ayanda, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So what was your pregnancy like? Was there anything out of the ordinary?
Not really. I actually had the most perfect pregnancy from when, I found out very early on that I was pregnant. Up until the last day, I didn't have morning sickness. My skin was flawless. My tummy wasn't even that big. It was like this small. So there was actually nothing. Nothing happened. Nothing.
Out of the ordinary?
Yes, nothing.
I mean, I'm sure there are many women listening to you say, my skin was popping, and on top of that, no morning sickness. So pregnancy was smooth, and you were excited.
Yes, I was. I was very excited. You know, your first child. I was also nervous. But am I going to be able to give birth? Because I have a fear of pain.
Yes.
So I was really, panicking about that one, but yeah.
And what was your relationship status at that time?
I was still with my son's father. We were together. He was with me from when I found out, because I found out very early on. I think I was like 2 months. I took the test, and then, yeah, he was there. We were still in school, in tertiary. So he was there from that time up until.
So what was the birthing and delivery experience like?
It came early. I remember the last doctor's visit, they said I'm due, I think it was the second week of February. But then on the third week of January, actually that morning when I woke up, I had cramps. But I was like, man, it's just cramps. And they tell you that towards the end, you might experience cramps and whatnot. So I had cramps from around 5 in the morning. I was at home because schools had closed. So I had gone home, December, holidays. I had cramps from 5 o'clock up until around 8. And I was like, let me take a pain tablet just for the cramps. Nothing really, changed. They were coming in stronger and stronger and stronger. So at around 11, I called my mother. She was at work, and I told her, I'm a cramping, I understand. But give me, because she's a teacher. Around 1, 2, we are figuring. After hanging up, I tried kublala, and then I started feeling nauseous. When I feel nauseous, ngasukuma, umange bathroom, and mangting bathroom, and ngabona what I'm bleeding. You understand? And then I started throwing up, but only water was coming out. I know it's disgusting, but yeah.
It's what happens. People must know,
Yeah. So it was only water coming out, and then I called my mother again and told her, I'm bleeding, and she also phoned an ambulance. My younger sister, the one who comes after me, was at home with me. So I'm telling her, because when you're from a village, no more phone an ambulance, but they want to a police station, then it's easier when the police call. You understand?
Wow.
So she actually ran to the police station to ask them to call for an ambulance. My mother already called, and she said she's on her way from work. She works like 5-10 minutes away. So Uma asked Lilini Eza, my sister was already gone. What my figure before ambulance, and then I was like, let me drive you to the hospital. It's 30 minutes away from where I'm from. I'm from a small village in Mpumalanga. It's 30 minutes away, it's out. But you know, gravel, so obviously it's 45 minutes. I remember even the ride, it was very, you know, bewushaya umoya nje, ukabona. Masifika esibhedlela, bavele bathi, no, we have to take it in, operate, and all those things. So from having such a smooth 9 months to that, yeah, it was, yeah.
So he was delivered via C-section?
Yes, it was C-section. It happened like fast nje. Ufika esibhedlela, okay, sign, and then they wheel you in, like, and you were not expecting. Boyilelele nje endlini, and now so sesibhedlela. And then they took me in. It was me and my mother, and then she was busy with admin. Ngabona ugcwalisa ama-form and all those things. And then 4:10, yeah.
And you named him Boyekgantso?
His father's mother, actually his grandmother, because me and his father, we never got a chance to name him.
It happens a lot in black families.
The one came from his grandmother, and then the other one came from my mother. So, yeah.
So now he's born, and when he was born, there were no complications?
No. After the Caesar, they took him, but he's not, akakhona ukuphefumula kahle. So bamfaka ku incubator, and then bamfaka my tubes. But nakhona understand why angakhona ukuphefumula, because no one actually like azange bangichazela at the time, but I was also drowsy because I gave birth at around 4, and then ngalala throughout the night. I woke up at around 11, and it was raining. Yeah, and I was alone. So, yeah. The following day, when the doctor came, that's when he explained, okay, this is the situation. Actually, he was surprised when he came in because he thought he didn't make it. Because he read the file and was like, oh, I'm sorry about your son. And I was like, why? I was like, no, he didn't make it. But then, no, I was like, no, he's in there. I was like, really? And
you thought your son had died?
He thought, because he read the file of what happened. Because apparently the cramps that was being one experience, it was him kicking.
Yeah.
Because apparently my placenta tore. My blood pressure went up, and they say my placenta tore, and then liquids were going in on that umbilical cord or something. That thing, baphefumula ngayo or whatever. So bega khameka. So that's why the kicking and the cramps and the cramps. So, yeah.
So what did the doctor then also say?
He came in, ngiyakhumbula wafika wangena wema lapha. After ngithi no, he's in there, waba like, your child will not be like other kids. And I was like, oh, okay. But being I understand because I'm clued up when it comes to kids. Yeah, I'm not that clued up. I was never that person or, with kids. So my first experience with a child was with my son. So for me, everything bibonakala ishap. Ngimbonile mosi. They brought him that morning, so I saw him. He looks fine. There's nothing wrong.
So when the doctor was saying your child is not going to be like other kids, what did he explain that to be? What did he mean?
He said he'll have challenges, and its development work will not be the same as other kids. But it did not even,
register.
I was just like, okay, maybe esikolweni angeke aza perform njengabanye abantwana or something. But it like azange ngayithatha ngayifaka engqondweni, I understand ukuthi ukhuluma ngani.
Do you think the doctor didn't explain properly?
No, I don't think he explained. I think maybe uqabanga ukuthi ekhaya bazangitshela or whatever, I don't know. But he never explained ukuthi kwenzakalani kahle kahle. Sayifunda sesisodwa ukuthi okay, this is.
Did he give it a name, though, at the time?
No.
So he just said your child won't be like other children?
Yes, that's what he said. So I stayed there from Monday, and then we were discharged on Sunday. Yeah, but the whole time in Lapana, they never tried to explain. Yeah.
And did the doctor say what they saw that made them know that he won't be like other children?
He didn't. Actually, I asked, ngabuza my questions mina that day, the day after, late in the afternoon. Like, because the whole day I was trying to feed him, but angakhoni, like he didn't know how to suck. Yabo. That's when ngabuza my nurse, kanti why angalo angayenzi? And then in nurse like, no, abanye abantwana like with your son, but thatha isikhathi ukuthi afunde. And I was like, but isn't like that supposed to be,
automatic and natural?
Yes, yeah, I understand. So even then, that thing with me, okay, khona wrong, but you're like, no man, it can't be. This is my son, like it's my no one ever preps you actually for the other side of, because even when you go for your appointments at clinic, they tell you what to expect, all those things. No one ever says, there's this other side, this might happen. So it's all a shock to a system. It's all like, oh, okay.
So how were those early days and first few weeks when you got home with your son?
We got home, we were discharged on Sunday, and my mother was there because she took a few days off work. I was still feeding him, like, squeeze out the breast milk, and then I'll put in a syringe and try to feed him, like, and then when we discharged on Sunday, Monday, umawati, rather, ngithole formula, and then at least, because you can't always, because busy, and then what decided, no, rather we move him to formula, and then I'll still feed him with the syringe and all that. And then wangitholela there's other pills, utashisa or ibis. Yabo. And then within a day, ibis lam besilshil, besilngeko. So that's what I was doing, making him feed that thing. But he was small, he was very small. Actually, like me and my son was one.
Wow.
Because he weighed 2.3 kgs when he was born. Yabo. But for me now, I was like, okay, umntwana nje. I didn't know any different because no one had ever told me. Even my mother, we've never had that conversation. You would see, okay, kuzoba so. Even times we esibhedlela sendlini, just watch what I ungawari uzoba right and what. Yeah, so.
So for you, that experience, obviously, you don't know any different. You've never experienced other babies, so you don't know what is supposedly normal and what is not normal. When was the first time that something didn't feel right to you? Like something as a mom was like, something is not right?
Apart from the feeding and his weight, because obviously they did say that, and like a child must be 2.5 kgs or and higher. Okay, that I knew, and he was very small. When a few distant relatives came to, bazombona umntwana, and the comments, nyana, and that's when ngaba like ngambuza even after bahambile ngathi, why kanti bathi kunento wrong ngaye, yabo. And then
it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, and then that's when she said with me, akafani nabanye abantwana, but kuzoba right.
What were some of the comments they were making?
Uthi mncane, and intamo yakhe like beyilo. Yabo, so yeah. Because the other thing is, umntanami is the only one family who's like that. So, and I think nakhona, I was surprised, I don't know, I don't know, but still, maybe umuntu beyazi khulumela ukuthi and then umntwana lo wenzakalani ngaye. Yeah, but I don't know, I never asked.
So obviously with babies, there will be certain milestones that they have to reach, where 1 month you expect a baby to be doing something, 4 months, 6 months, they expect a baby to be doing something. When those milestones were coming, what was happening with your baby?
I know with around 6 months and all those things, Melingabi already they're sitting by themselves. He was not able to, as a shalele I want. We had to balance him with,
pillows,
my cushions, and I got this, those chairs, that chair.
Those little nursing
that
pillows.
funny, that funny chair. Yeah, that one. So like baba kwamthengela yona, so at least we are even when we're sitting outside and then but 6 months came, he was still not sitting, and 7 months came, still not sitting, not crawling, and all those things. Up until umasekana 9 months, lapho bosokhona ukuthi noma even umbeka a try kancane, and then he will fall back at around 9 months.
So when he was going in for checkups with the nurse at the clinic or the doctor, what were they saying?
We went for the first checkup, 10 days after hospital, after we were discharged. We went a local clinic, and they just check, and then they didn't say anything. We're like, okay, he's gaining weight, kancane. He was 2.5 then. And then they didn't say anything, and then ngabuyela ngahlala ekhaya. And uye to a doctor, I think it was around 6-7 months. Because nambe sengimbuza uma ethe isula kahlali and all those things. But no, sizamikisa NL spray check and what. That's when menza ma check up nyana. Then the doctor wathi I know vele he's delayed. We understand. But he never said ukuthi yini into emdileyayo and all those things. He just said he's delayed. He's not like other kids and whatnot.
But did they tell you what you must do about it?
No.
They just said he's delayed, he will come around.
Yeah, with time. I think even then, maybe I try our own, because you're a young mother. So obviously now, yes, about doctor, they have to tell you, okay, situation is so bad. I'm a doctor, I think, bagvela, situation is so. So I think doctor lawyer, nae azanke aba
forthcoming with information.
Now I'm sure as a parent you're looking at them with hope, which okay. You're hoping to like everything will be fine. Yeah, you understand? So he went for that checkup and then he is delayed, he's not like other kids. Maybe with time he will, but physically there's nothing really wrong. Like physically there's no chance of him walking. It's just now he can't sit, but with time he will.
At that time, what was your understanding? Because the first time that they said to you, he's not like other kids, you couldn't picture what that meant. When he's now 6, 7, 8 months old, what was your understanding of what the doctor had said to you the first time?
I tried to Google, but when you don't know what's wrong, even when you put on Google, you get a host of things. So we still didn't know. Because if ubaba kenai benkhuluma naye and naye at time and maybe we delayed kancane. Maybe masakana bo 1 he will be fine. You understand? So nami ngaba that hope with me maybe and the doctor did say that his growth would not be the same. His development would not be the same as other kids. So maybe I'm being too impatient. Let me give him time. So 6 months came, 7, 8, 9 months, and then at 9 months he was catcher meningitis. At 9 months, and then he was hospitalized. So that set him back as well. So even before we could put him there, a balance for 2 seconds and then fall back. When he came out of hospital at 9 months with the meningitis, it was like we were back to 0.
At what point did you now get a formal diagnosis? What was happening that a doctor now was able to tell you what is going on?
He was 3, 4 years old. He was actually turning 4. And what happened was he had a seizure because we are unabana fits. When he was small, but that day he had a seizure. I started worrying, and then Mangimbuga, he was turning gray. I called the ambulance, and then I had just moved to Pretoria that year because Namangsha wanted to get him help because we didn't know what was happening. We wanted to get him help, so we thought maybe if we move to Gauteng, there's more, So that day, we were sharp the whole day, and then mama wa seizure. I thought it's one of those absent seizures because sometimes they get absent seizures. Like for 1 second, uzoba like, and then they will snap out of it. And then sometimes those long ones. So that day, and it was changing color, then I started worrying. Then I phoned the ambulance, and then they came. It was just me and him. His father was not around that day. And then saya spedlela, masfika spedlela, stabilize and all those things. I rode with him in the ambulance. And then that following morning, Dr. attender. Now, that doctor attended him by chance because she was filling in actually for someone else. Attender by chance. Wathola my blood test, and then wabenza all those brain, what. And then wasitshela, because his father wafika the following day. Basitshela ukuthi actually it diagnosis like he has cerebral palsy, he's epileptic, he's autistic. And he was like around 4 years old. And then you guys have to like get him into a school and into therapy and all those things. Because before then, he was attending just a normal crèche because we're struggling to find a school for him. So actually when he was 4 or 5, that's when we knew, okay, this is the situation. And then I'm prescribing medication.
So prior to that, I mean, those are 3 big diagnoses: cerebral palsy, autism, and epilepsy. What did the doctor explain cerebral palsy is?
She just said it happens when there's an infection in the brain. And something like that.
So what is your understanding of what cerebral palsy is?
It differs, actually. There's different types. There's static cerebral palsy, and then there's different types of cerebral palsy. He has a mild form, because the static one, I know it's like uyaqina, like my muscles uyaqina and all those things. So for him, it's not that bad because he can walk, even though his balance is not. He can now walk by himself and all those things. But it's just an infection of the brain, and it affects movement yakhe emzimbeni, like uhamba wakhe and speech, yonke leyo nto leyo, it affects everything. And then obviously physically you can see the child, the eyes, the head, it's different.
So it affects the nervous system.
Yes.
Does it affect the brain in terms of mental development?
Yes.
Okay.
Even physically, the shape of the head, it's different from other kids. Even the eyes, because I can see when a child, like this one, because you can see.
In between the time that he was, let's say, 6 months and before the diagnosis, how were you coping with raising him, not knowing what was wrong, but seeing that there's something not right?
It was frustrating because, like, you are a young mother. It's like you read all these books, you Googled all these things, and they said it's going to be like this and this and this and this. But now none of this is, it's like you don't know, and you get frustrated, you get angry. I don't want to lie, because you just want to fix and make sure umntanakho uba right. There were days when like he would cry, I understand, like pulling his ear and all those things. You like I couldn't even ukhuluma naye, like akuphendula akutshela ukuthi yini into wrong. So it was like frustrating. You understand? Because you want to, make him better, but you don't know, and you don't even have resources which you me say lena. You understand? But also that thing of him going to hospitals and all those things, ayekho mnandi. So you try ukuthi ungayenzi kakhulu. But busy, because all doctors they bafuna draw amagazi and all those things, and akukho mnandi, and you feel as if you failed. You feel as if you went something wrong, and then you like try trace your steps with Mina. Maybe during a pregnancy, maybe lana azange ngenza right. You understand? But when you look back, you're like, but I didn't do anything. Azange kwenzeka anything. Like, okay, no, maybe we understand. So, yeah.
So in those early years before the diagnosis happened, what was the hardest thing you had to go through and overcome?
They're carrying him everywhere because he couldn't walk up until he started walking when he was 5. Physically, they're carrying him everywhere. And also, people will be like, Awena, why are you carrying him? And they're like, okay, he must just crawl on the pavement. Yeah. Because even Masagana 5, he was still not walking, but he could sit. And he didn't crawl with his knees, he crawled with his bum. So he he never crawled with his knees.
Yes.
You understand? So people, bebanga understand, why are you always, and that thing frustrated the comments. And then those ones who were asking me now, why am I kulumi? Now you must explain, like, so you try to avoid puma akulu, but also like he's my son, and I'm proud of him. So as a jailer, you know what, wherever la penkona kon, whoever has a problem, they can Google me. It's fine.
When did your son actually start speaking?
He does not speak.
So he still doesn't speak?
No, he doesn't. He does say like a few, words like ma sometimes, but it stutters when he tries to say the ma. So yeah, mostly it's non-verbal communication. Yeah, he does not speak yet.
And when you got the diagnosis, so now the doctors explained what he has.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you read about of what to expect? Because at least now, when you got to that point where he's getting a diagnosis, you know what it is, you know what to look out for.
After diagnosis, okay, the situation is so, and it will never change. It will improve, Nyana, but this is where we are, and yeah.
What does that mean, this is where we are?
It means he will never attend a normal school like other kids. And that thing to actually accept, nami issue out loud, it took me a very long time. Because ubanenkani, you'll be like, no man, umntanami lona. Like uzoba sharpu. But to accept, and then now, and then the minute you accept her, okay, it took me longer than his father. His father accepted before me, which the situation is so. And then that's when we were proactive. We were like, you know what, since it was Sona, now I have to get him into the right school. Yeah, because before, being in that hope, you would see, like, school in Esfanan, I was looking around, and then I accepted, which, okay, this is a situation. Guzohlala gusona, and ngizohlala ngimnakekela njalo. There will never be a time like he's grown, he's on his own, he's staying alone. That will never happen. So I think that's one of the things that I had to accept. This is my life. This is it.
What? Because now he's 12 years old.
Yeah, turning 13 next month.
Turning 13. And he's obviously facing a lot of challenges physically, psychologically, mentally. What are some of the things that you have a hard time with that you've had to make adjustment for? The first one is guilt parenting, because I feel sometimes I parent him. I feel bad. This is me. This is my fault. You understand? So sometimes I'm cozy even when there's a wrong. You understand? Even before he started making noises, like before any noises. So when he started making noises, of which is not right. Because in that I feel, what if I'm kuza and then we are too foot before, such things. And also the way my life in general. It's a bubble nyana. I had to create a bubble for him because it gets easily affected by abantu. So you have to shield them, which means you can't really have a life outside of him. And I mean, obviously the autism as well, things like lights, being sensitive to noise.
Yes, that's why I also shield him. So other people are like, no man, I'm feedly. We go to the mall, we go to like hlala business now together. But I limit iskhathi because he gets easily agitated. We are frustrated. Yeah. So I have to make sure la hlala khona, quiet, and he's very territorial as well. He's a man after all. So he's I have to life yami, it's centered around him. It's 95% of the time it's me and him, and then unless it's a school yeah, wherever he is, I'm there.
What can he do independently?
He can push me. He can like, and it isn't as a funda cooler. Like now I try to teach him the little things like, must be a school in, I unlock the padlock door, he knows he must open the door for me. You understand? Those small things. When he's hungry, he's on pizza, fridge. Like he loves music and sound. The minute you switch on a kettle or a microwave, you're champa or you're corn. You understand? He knows is into like, if I say bathroom, I'm brushing my teeth. Uzombona adonsa a towel because he knows it's okay. Now it's time to bath. There were those small things, but he's learning with as a cooler. Not that he was doing them when he was still
younger.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
But it's.
How are you going to navigate him going through puberty with all of his existing challenges?
It's overwhelming now because now like physically. He started changing like 2 years ago, growing hair here and there. The first time I actually called his father. I'm like, yo, Mokasi. I was like, hi, man, when I relax, you always, But it's like, it's all new. It's like I said earlier on, I get kumuntu okchela ukuthi kuzowenzeka so. So yonke into intsha. And even because he's still at school, they're potty training him, but he still uses a nappy, especially alala and all those things. Even that was a struggle because Pampas Namahagis, they go up until size 6. You understand? So when he was approaching that age, you would okay, Maya is why I'm bamba. Stress because, and I'm you understand? I had to now Google, then I told him I try nights. But now they go up until weight 57, but he's a bit big. So now they're also small. So now that's another stress, which okay. Yes, I do take him to the bathroom. Even when he wants to go to the bathroom, bathroom. Then I pull down his pants and then he sits. That's the other thing. He's a boy, but he sits. He doesn't stand. You understand? So those are some of the things which even physically, 18 and all those things are happening. Like, you feel overwhelmed sometimes, but to be like, sabona phambili.
So how do you work and have a sense of routine in your own life as a woman while you are also a caregiver to your son?
It's not easy, especially. Sometimes I wish ukuthi ngabe like ngihleli endlini and just drop escort ngimlande. Especially sometimes like mabakufonela bathi he had a seizure. We had to call an ambulance. Now I have to leave everything. Ugijime uye esibhedlela. Yabo, it's kuba another thing emsebenzini, but they are understanding. But at the end of the day, usemsebenzini kwamele usebenze. You understand? So that's the only time like no feel like yo. Magmele ngiphume emsebenzini ngiye kuye esikolweni, or when it's like now it's schools are going to close. Kwamele wenze sure ukuthi unomuntu ozokusiza akusalele naye endlini because as much as my mother is open to me sending him home on holidays, mina personally I'm feeling sharp. I always feel with Mina, he's my child, he's my responsibility. I must be there all the time. Okay, not all the time, but I'm the one who's supposed to be taking care of him. You understand? So I can't. Mangekaya ngihamba naye. Mangekaya you understand? So and his father is always working, and we don't stay together. So but it's really not easy. Prepare, drop him at school, go to work, come back. If nama errands and I'll do that quickly, then go pick him up. Sometimes we won't pick up, and then we run those errands, and then we go home. And then you prepare for the next day. And then the school on the side for me, and yeah, it's...
Do you think that having a child with special needs contributed to the breakdown of your relationship with his father?
The pressure, and also we went through a lot. The same year that I had him, later that year in November, my father passed away. And I never actually mourned. And the following year, his mother passed away. So a lot was happening. And as it isn't to be bigger, I said, you know what, I'll deal with this pain later. Now we have this thing to focus on, you know. It's not a challenge, Lena. And it was a lot that was happening from when he was born up until, because we separated when he was 7 years old, I think. Yeah, around 7. That's when we separated. It was not easy. It was even me. The way person I am now is not the person I was back then. I was angry. I was in denial. And he was the closest person to me. So obviously sometimes you take it out on umuntu lona and nami bengakhoni to be there for him. You understand? And I realize now that he also needed me to be there for him. But nami benginezinto zami, and you know, I sometimes used him as a punching bag, which is not fair. But yeah, it was not easy up until he said, you know what, let's just take a step back and, you know, okay, we found a school, let's take a step back. Things are settling down and let's just breathe. You understand? So that's what happened. And then but he's still in his life up until this day. He's a wonderful father. I'm actually blessed to have him. Yeah.
So what does that mean for you, being a single mom raising a special needs child, in terms of even exploring the dating?
It's not easy. I've tried to date. I tried to date after I separated from my son's father, 2 years after. I did not last long, but I was still hung up on him. So, and
it had nothing to do with the fact that you have a special needs child.
No, it was me. I was not ready. I think I was not ready emotionally. And then recently, the late, data, it lasted for almost 2 years. And it was not easy because Kwamele wins isikhathi for the person. You understand? And I don't have time. I have school, I have work, it's my son. I'm always with him. I don't have a nanny. I'm the nanny, I'm the cleaner, I have to do laundry, I have to do cooking. We are dinner as a person, and the person wants to see you. My weekends are away. You try to make time. I'll try with, okay, this weekend I get a nanny. But it's also expensive. You know those costs. With get a nanny, we go on date night. But sometimes you know what, after work just pass by.
Just to be spontaneous.
Yeah, I can't do that. I have to rush and fetch my son from school. Because his father works outside of South Africa, so he's always all over. When he is around, he does help, but he's not always there because he has to work. Because also, it's expensive. Also. So I can't say, okay, hlala unkatele umntwana mina ngisafuna ukuya kuma dates. Because then when the school fees come, medical aid and all those things, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of rands, which he is paying. You understand? So I have to also understand which he's working. So now I try to cover where he cannot. So it's that relationship, it ended months ago because it was just not time and all those things. So I've just accepted Gucci. Those are the cards that I've been dealt with. And yeah, I think my vocation is to just take care of my son. Romance, I don't think it will.
You never know. You never know the right time, the right person. I think much as, you know, a big part of your life is dedicated to being caregiver to your son, to being a mom, to being a student, to being everything you are being right now. I think, And I hope for you that you are able to find the love and companionship that I kind of feel like you would love to have.
I do, but my life will still be the same, the way it is now. Nothing will change. Like the past relationship, I still won't have time. And the funny thing is my previous partner, his child also had similar challenges as my son.
Is it?
But still, you understand? Even if I can meet someone, later to the same situation, so it's also not fair because umuntu ufuna ukuba nawe, you know, it's not fair because end up I feel bad. I was feeling bad with me. I'm stopping him from you know. So rather, yeah.
I understand. What would you like viewers to know about raising a child that suffers from epilepsy, cerebral palsy, and autism?
Poverty, it's not easy in the beginning, but with time it gets better, and you have to sacrifice. Sacrifices or entire life in. You can't have it all, and then ufuna ukuthi umntwana also right when you have to sacrifice. Like I'm saying, you have to sacrifice friends, going out, and relationships, and all those things. Uthi umenza sure uthi right. It's either that or that. There's no
middle ground.
Yeah, and umthanda umntanakho. You understand? Because that's your child at the end of the day. Uzamlahlela bani. You understand? So, and they're very sneaky as well. They're very controlling. But yeah.
I can tell from how you speak about your son, you love him to bits.
And he takes advantage
of that. Thank you so much for coming and for sharing your story with us. I know that we've just spoken for a short period of time. It can't even begin to explain the realities that you face on a daily. I am wishing you so much strength and courage to have to face the daily challenges, because much as you are doing it, I'm sure it gets very, very difficult. And at the end, it rests on you as a mother, as a parent, as the full-time caregiver. I just completely admire what you've been able to do up until this point. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
#Unpacked with Relebogile. Raising a child with special needs definitely has some of its challenges, and I hope that outside in the communities that we are as equally accepting as the parents of the children that need all the help and the support that they can get. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night. Next time on Unpacked.
I'm different from other people, but why do I like boys? Why don't I like girls? I was made to feel as though I'm demonic. I reached a point where I wanted to commit suicide.
But when did you get to know that this is actually a crime?
All I knew is that it's forbidden.
Thank you so much for watching Unpacked with Relebogile Mabotja. Make sure you subscribe to my channel where you can get to watch more episodes. But more importantly, you can be part of our online community. Comment down below, share with us who you'd like to see on the show, what story you'd like us to discuss. We love engaging with you. Keep it coming and don't forget to subscribe.